Here's the show. This is half of a show and half of a trial run. I'm joined by Roger Wheeler of the Republic Monitor, and I'm David Brazeal. And we are going to go over Republic Tiger Sports. We're going to do this weekly as much as we can, and the plan is to go over some highlights and some other action from the previous week and maybe talk about what's coming up. Three sports, Roger, this week get started, and of course the big one is football. That starts Friday night against Central, but the football team's already been in action in their jamboree on Friday night at Camdenton, and you were up there.
It was an interesting time. I think I left there with more encouragement than maybe I had anticipated. I thought the team looked a lot better than maybe I thought they would on their first actual chance to get to hit somebody else. And that's always the first time you get to see what it's really like. You get tired of hitting your own teammates, and you get a chance to finally hit somebody with a different colored jersey on. And I was on the positive side of that. I'm excited for the season to start this week.
Yeah, they had two different teams they played. They scrimmaged and had, you got a certain number of plays against each team, and they played Camdenton first and then Eldon, and that jamboree is sort of indicative of what the season is going to be like for them, I think, because you've got a team like Camdenton, who's one of the best in the state, Class 5 team, and that's more similar to your Ozarks, your Nixes, those teams, Webb City, that Republic has on the schedule. And then you've got Eldon, which is a team that is beatable and that I thought Republic looked very good against. And I thought one surprise was their ability to throw the ball. That's something we have not seen from them in recent years.
I would love to look back on it and see when was the last time Kirk Thompson actually had a team that might be a throwing team, because definitely that was what came across as more positive on the two teams. In talking with Kurt, before the games, he wants to do the jamborees on turf. He wants to have the kids experience that, the number of the places they will play. In the COC and all deal with turf, so he likes to play on turf. And he wanted, I believe, to play a really difficult team, a team that had some success recently. Obviously, Camdenton has a big history of success and had success last year, all the way to the quarterfinals. So I think he saw what he expected there. And then also, one of the things I can remember him saying is he wanted to have play some teams that we would not see. Some teams that would not be a part of our regular season, so as to not give anything away.
Yeah, and you break down that jamboree into two parts. And Camdenton really, their offense looked very good, and they exploited some of the things that have typically in the last few seasons been weaknesses for Republic defensively. Not a lot of size, not a ton of speed, although I think they might be a little bit faster this year than they have been in previous seasons. But Camdenton looked very good offensively. Defensively, though, Republic had a couple of big plays there. They had some stops against Camdenton, and Jake Smith came up, the sophomore, came up with a big interception down near the end zone on one play, and that was a nice play by him.
And if nothing else, that's an incredible confidence booster to stop them on an end zone type play like that. It was a beautiful interception. In that particular group of plays, it seemed like we didn't get to see a whole bunch because Camdenton's scoring was coming in on long plays. Breaking tackles and running into the end zone, and then they would set back up at the 50-yard line, and they did that a couple of times, so we didn't get to really see a drive, a defensive try to stop a drive down the field as much as maybe it would have been good to see as much as we did in the Eldon game. We saw more of that in that game. But offensively, they moved the ball down the field on Camdenton that first drive, had a chance to score, had it down inside the 5, and that's where they got stopped. But they did get a chance to run some offensive plays against some bigger kids because Camdenton was definitely bigger.
Yeah, and then let's talk about Eldon now, and specifically the thing that stood out to me was the offense against Eldon, and not only how much we threw the ball, but I thought Republic threw the ball very effectively, and all three quarterbacks that played had really nice nights.
It was as we were kind of joking about Kirk Thompson football team. It was not what we were used to seeing Republic, the 3 yards in a cloud of dust, offense running the ball right up the gut. That has been successful some for Republic. They've had the players to do that in the past, and it doesn't seem like they have those guys anymore. They have a couple of tight ends that are a part of the action that you can't miss on the field, as they stand 6'9" and 6'8", and kind of tower over the top of everything. And as long as they are comfortable catching the ball and being hit, I think it could be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, and as I said, all three quarterbacks threw the ball very well. And one of the things that you noticed as you were looking at the stats afterwards, 7 different receivers. They were 8 of 8 against Eldon, and 7 different receivers caught the ball. So when you can spread it around like that, that's always going to be effective.
I don't know professional teams that boast 7 different receivers catching the football very often in a game, and to have 7 different kids catch the ball. And I didn't notice it as I was keeping stats and watching it happen. I didn't realize it was that many different kids that were being a part of the offense. And as I said before, that can be nothing but encouraging to them, and make them feel like they're going to be a part of the offense come this Friday night as well.
Yeah, let's talk about this Friday night. Central comes in, and a home game to start the season. So, I haven't looked ahead much to Central with all the previews that I think both of us have been doing. We haven't looked ahead much to Central yet, and we'll have that later in the week. But seems like a winnable game for Republic at least, and so they've got a chance to start off the season well.
The area that they will have to step up is going to be stopping a key running back. And I don't know the young man's name for Central, but they've got a running back that's what they will concentrate on is the running. And if our defensive backs are the ones making the stops, we're in trouble. Our offensive line, our defensive line, the linebackers have got to step up and do their part, or he will have success and they'll run the clock on Republic. So, but having it as a home game is a definite plus. I think people are excited that it's football season. The weather has changed. It's time to get out and enjoy a little football. So I think it'll be a good game. I think it is a winnable game.
Now that you've got everybody psyched for football, let's switch gears and talk about softball. Softball team has new leadership this year. Lee Dishman is the new head coach, takes over for Mike Thorne and of course, Jim Houston, the assistant, who were here for many years. And in talking to him, he wants to. I get the sense that maybe a little harder-edged coach, more emphasis on that kind of hard-nosed play. Although you got that out of the previous softball teams under Mike Thorne, but Lee Dishman really emphasizing that to the girls heading in, and they will start their season Wednesday with a game at Reed Spring, or rather at Cassville. And so that'll be the first sports event of the season for Republic will be the softball team, and a young team as we head into the season, isn't it?
They are young. They have some girls that have been a part, since they were freshmen, and were a part of a Final Four team. So they have, a Rachel Michaelis is one example. Stephanie Eckhoff is another that comes to mind. Kids that have been there and have had to compete at the highest level, that hopefully they are leading and trying to give some example of what it's going to take. Republic softball is one of the top programs in the state, much less just the area, and so along with that, Cassville really is as well, and has been for a number of years. And interesting that these two spend most every year starting off the year against each other. And I know it's kind of become a little bit of a rivalry. That was where Coach Thorne got his 300th win a couple of years ago. So there's a lot of competitiveness that these girls remember back and forth from each other as well. It'll be a lot of fun. Wednesday, first game of the year.
Wednesday at Cassville, and then they turn around, and the very next day they travel to Reed Spring on Thursday. So they'll have 2 games this week as they get started. Third program that we want to touch on this week that starts play is the girls' tennis team, and they are coming off their best season ever, really. They won a district title. They went to the state quarterfinals before dropping out of the playoffs. And, of course, Samantha Miner, who's back this year, was a state qualifier last year for the Lady Tigers.
and no reason to believe that she's not going to be one of the top players in the area, in the state. Once again, she's worked hard, I know, this summer to get ready for this in her senior year, and I know she's excited to be the number one player on the team. She plays good doubles with Megan McCord. They've played together for years, so they're a good team there as well. I know there's some drop off at that point for the team, and some girls that are going to have to step up to be able for Republic to compete in the team's scoring. Individual scoring, I think we'll always have one or two that'll be a part of the scoring, but team scoring is, I think, where Coach Eric Hansen really is trying to emphasize right now with his girls.
Yeah, and I got the sense at the end of last week when I dropped by practice that he's fairly happy. He knows that he's got newcomers that have to fill those roles, but the way that first week of practice went, I got a sense of a little bit of optimism from him that maybe those roles would be filled and that they might be all right team-wise. So I think he's confident heading into the season.
Winning, the very first district championship last year, I'd be confident too. I'd want to come across and be a part, of saying, hey, we've got something we've never had before, and we're going to be have to be reckoned with, this season.
So that's the three sports that are getting underway: football, softball, and tennis, girls tennis. We've also got boys soccer coming up, and we'll talk about that maybe next week as they don't start this week yet. Volleyball will not start this week. Cross country doesn't start this week, and I should never have started listing because I'm pretty sure I might have missed another one. But maybe I didn't. But if I did, it's no offense to you, Coach, or to any of the players. I did not forget you on purpose. Rodger, you have anything to add as we get ready to start the fall season?
The thing that I've said to so many people, I think, and to you as well, is I'm ready for the summer to be over. It's been a hot summer, and it's time to get into these fall sports, whether it be the fact that I've got a daughter playing volleyball as well in high school, or the fact that it's been a long summer. It's time to have some fun and get involved with some of these fall sports, and there's no reason to believe that Republic's not going to be competitive in most all of them.
Looking forward to it, and looking forward to more of this show with you as the fall goes on.
Very good.
Thank you. Have a good night, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
Okay, see y'all next week.